Right, okay, so Tesco. Now, we'll start visually. So visually, this is not the most appealing mince pie. You can see the top is very lumpy. It's slightly more brown in certain areas than others. And the sugar is sort of all put on one side of the pie. It's not evenly spread. I do like the sort of the double star motif on the top though. That's very nice. Just take it out in a minute. Give it a bite. This is the fascinating bit of the video where you get to watch an empty thing. Wow. Okay. So that's quite doughy. That's a bit like, it's not quite the texture I would expect from a mince pie. It's a little, I don't know, it's not crumbly enough. It's not quite the sort of the pastry I would expect. I'd say also maybe the pastry is a little bit thick. I prefer if there was a little more mince, a little less pastry there. Flavour wise, it's all good. I can't fault the flavour at all. It's lovely. But yeah, that's slightly disappointing from Tesco, in my opinion. Okay, so Aldi. Here it is. Very even, very, there's no sort of imperfections in the bake at all. The sugar is very, very, very light. It described itself as having a dusting of sugar, and I almost can't see it. There's just a few grains. But all in all, very aesthetically attractive, I think. Pop it out, again, very, yeah, well proportioned. Wow. Now, I really like that. That's it's quite crumbly, which I think works to its advantage. The one thing I would say is maybe there's not quite as much mince in there as you might expect. There's a sort of a big empty gap at the top, but all in all, very nice. Flavors again are just nice. You know, can't really fault the flavors. Yeah, that's a solid mince pie, Aldi. Well done. Right, Morrison's. Okay, so I like the design on this one. It's a little uneven, and there's a tiny little broken bit on one of them. But it's a nice design. It's aesthetically attractive, I would say, and there's a good amount of sugar on the top as well. If we just ease that one open, nice looking thing. That is lovely. Yeah, no, that's very nice. It's got a great ratio of filling to crust. It's not too sort of crust heavy, which some of the other ones have been. Yeah, that's really delicious. At first I thought the texture was a bit gritty, but then I realised that's from the sugar, and that does actually add to it. So yeah, no, fantastic. Morrison's. Full marks. Love it. Right, okay, so it's one we've all been waiting for. It's Waitrose. Now, this is a really beautiful mince pie. It's absolutely the same colour all the way around. The crimping is beautiful. The snowflake on the top is not damaged in any way at all. It's a really lovely looking thing. The other impression is there's no sugar at all on the top, which is a shame. But we'll pop it open, see what it's like. Again, very even all the way around. Now, there's something not quite right about that. I think it's the dough is way too sweet. I don't know if they put the sugar on the top into the dough or something, because that's way too sweet and doesn't have quite the texture I would expect. It's not bad. The mince is good, and there's a good ratio of mince to dough, but still, yeah, not the greatest mince pie experience, I would say, from Waitrose. Okay, so M&S. Now, they're slightly broken in transit, so I've picked the nicest looking one, just for a fair test example. But even without that, it's not a particularly
nice looking mince pie. Like the design is very difficult to make out, although I quite like the star in the middle. And it's kind of off center a little bit. There is a good amount of sugar on the top though. And the browning's a bit uneven, but not too bad, all things considered. So just take that out. It's a bit darker in colour than all the other ones I've seen so far. I'm going to take a bite of that. Okay. So it's very soft. See, yeah, the texture of those that pastry is not quite what I would expect. It's a little soft for a mince pie. I'd expect it to be a little bit flakier. The sugar tastes very good. Yeah, the flavour is perfectly fine. Nothing to write home about, but it really is. There's a very good ratio of mince to not mince. I think that's exactly right. But yeah, a little soft. I think you can taste the browning. I prefer if it was a little less brown. That does come off a little bit. Now, special treat for this one. We have someone here who has not had a mince pie in 10 years, about to give her own professional analysis. So please take it away with how was that?
Sweet, fruity, bit spicy.
Spicy.
Good kind. Ian, you know
Yeah,
my spice levels.
that's what you want from a
lemon
mince
and
pie.
herb at Nando's. So,
Yeah, there you go. Well, there you go. M&S, what a success. Okay, so Ian from the future here, and a quick note. I'm like 5 mince pies into this box of M&S mince pies now, and I've kind of changed my mind on it. The first one I had, I think, was just a bit bad, like it was overbaked. The rest of them that I've had have actually been really nice, and I'm really starting to enjoy the texture a lot more, and there's no problem with the outside being too brown in taste or in aesthetic. So yeah, still a very ugly mince pie, but a really, really nice tasting one. Revise my opinion. Okay, so Sainsbury's. Now it's not the most aesthetic mince pie. There's some imperfections around the edge, and all the pies in the box had some imperfections. The design is perfectly average, nothing special, nothing offensive, and there's a good amount of sugar on the top. So just crack that one open. Mm. Well, that's brilliant. That's for me. That's exactly the right kind of crust. It's just buttery enough, just crumbly enough. It's absolutely perfect. It's not got a weird flavour. The mince is very nice. Yeah, the sugar just adds something. That's really good. I guess the only one small thing is there's not really a great mince to pie ratio. They could have a bit more mince, a bit less air in there. But apart from that, that's really delicious. I love that. That's great. Right, okay, Lidl. So, it's not the best looking mince pie. It's a bit uneven, although there was a lot of variation within the box. Some were very neat. This one, not so much. I like the design on the top. The sugar is all on one side of the pie. And I quite like the motif, but it's a bit sloppily done. Just take it out. Pretty even bake there. Now that is very nice. That's it's very crumbly, very buttery pastry. The filling is perfectly good, although there's not much of it. Maybe a little more filling would be nice. But overall, it tastes very nice. I really like the texture. It's kind of yeah, crumbly is the word. Great stuff from Lidl there. Okay, so Iceland, and yeah, they do make mince pies apparently. It's a very simple mince pie, not unattractive, but not particularly enticing looking either. All the sugar to one side, and a very simple design on the top. Take that out there. Wow. Okay. So that might be the driest mince pie I've ever eaten. That is really, really dry. It's not very buttery at all. The dough is all wrong, really. It's it's not a great texture at all.
The taste is okay, but really not ideal. Yeah, at least there's a good amount of filling in it. No, I'm not disappointed, Iceland. I mean, I didn't have high hopes, if I'm honest, but I'm still disappointed.
Right, Spa. Okay, so a pretty simple design on the top. Not badly executed. There's an uneven browning around the outside, but that's okay. Plenty of sugar, though it is all on one side of the pie. We just lever that one open. Okay. Yeah. So that's I would say the texture is okay. It's almost too crumbly. Like it turns to dust in your mouth a bit. But apart from that, it's not bad. The taste is perfectly good. Yeah, slightly strange texture. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. But yeah, it's not too dry or anything. So I think okay. Asda, here we are. So, it's a I like the design of the top. I'm a fan of this. It's reasonably complex, but not unattractive at all. It's there was a little bit of inconsistency. Some of the mince pies looked better than others. This is one of the better looking ones in the pack. There's a reasonable amount of sugar and it's evenly spread, which is nice. Slightly uneven browning, but that's okay. Yeah, that was quite a unique mince pie. The dough is really like it's quite thick and very like crumbly. Like it turns to powder in your mouth. Well, the outside turns to powder, and the inside is quite doughy. I don't mind it, but I can see how that's an acquired taste. It definitely doesn't feel high quality. But if you're into that sort of thing, I guess it's okay. There's not a lot of filling inside. I can't really taste the sugar. I don't think there's enough of it on top on balance. So yeah, ultimately I'd say it's a bit weird. I'm not the biggest fan, but it's okay. Okay from Asda. Okay, this is the co-op. So very simple design, and not brilliantly done. There's still a little gap in the top of the casing here. A good amount of sugar though, and very evenly spread. I am impressed with the sugar on this one. Okay, so perfectly average. It's very dry. It feels possibly a tiny bit overbaked to me. It's not very doughy, but I guess that's fine. There is a good amount of filling. Yeah, I really don't have very much to say about that actually. It's very solid, entirely unremarkable, very average.